What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Life has been a busy, very, very busy week or two for me, but I did want to come on and talk about what happened Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite, the big main event in Chicago, CM Punk, MJF. The match was, I didn't even know what I was going to expect from that match. I wasn't expecting a high-flying match or hard-hitting match. I wasn't even really expecting a WWE-style match, but this was a mix of a lot of different things. A little bit of comedy, a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of mat wrestling, a little bit of everything in this match. I thought the way, and a couple of swerves in it too, I thought the way they put it out, I was kind of, it was like teetering on the line of being a bit overcooked. But I think they pulled it off, and the sum of its parts actually worked out really well. When they got to the part where I thought that they made us all think that MJF had won the match by cheating and choking out CM Punk, and CM Punk fell from a choke out, I was like, they are not doing this. Oh my God. And then, of course, Bryce Rinsberg reversed it. They had me going for a second there. I thought that's how they were going to end it, but then I was like, nah, they're not going to do that. They continue with the match. Great selling by Punk. Well, part selling and part also the fact he probably actually hurt himself, with his arm, and then later on with his knee. I think that was probably legitimate the way it looked. MJF selling his neck, just like he was, really stiff. He couldn't even bounce off the ropes or anything like that. I think all those elements of this match worked very, very well. And then there's three things that I like that I could consider possibly masterful, but I'll just say they're very, very good. One is Wardlow. The whole thing with Wardlow coming in near the end of the match and confronting Punk, and they've built this thing up now because this Wardlow MJF thing has been going on for 2 years now. Them hinting that Wardlow is eventually going to obviously leave MJF and turn on him, but we're just waiting for it to happen, and they keep teasing it, and then when Wardlow came down, you're like, I don't know, is Wardlow going to turn on MJF now, or is this not the moment? And what are they going to do here? It turned out that no, Wardlow did not turn on MJF, and then the brilliant work of them not shooting and showing the audience at home. So the whole point where Wardlow's actually handing MJF the Dynamite diamond ring behind his back. We didn't see it live when it was happening on camera. Probably the only people that saw it were the fans that were right there at ringside. That was really good, and I loved how on the replay they showed it. That's the best use of replay in wrestling in years. That we actually saw something that was worth replaying. That we saw, oh my God, look, Wardlow handed MJF the ring while everybody was focused on him facing off with CM Punk. That was pretty cool. It was also pretty cool that after the match, Wardlow's just shaking his head. He's like, whatever, MJF's all bragging, and Wardlow's like, this motherfucker. I love that. I can't, boy, this just means like, when are we going to get the I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but when are we going to get Wardlow turning on MJF? I think they're trying to build Wardlow up, and I think they're doing a good job of it right now. Because for a while, he was just like, he's just another meathead, but we're starting to see him kind of evolve, and the Powerbomb Symphony and that whole thing, getting that thing established. I think people are going to be chomping at the bit to see him break away from MJF, because I think right now it's a thing that we all are expecting it, but I think they want to get it to the point where we're wanting it. And I think we're getting to that point where we really want it to happen. So pretty good job there. CM Punk, I got to say this, and it didn't dawn on me till right before I started recording this. This is the first person CM Punk has put over since he's become a main event guy, since he's become big time. Remember back in WWE, after 2011 and the pipe bomb, Punk really didn't put over too many people. He was the guy that needed to be put over. He was still on the come up, and then he got to the main event spot, and he became one of the big three in WWE at the time, along with Daniel Bryan and John Cena. And he never put over any younger talent. He put over The Rock. He put over The Undertaker. Did a couple things here and there, but never really definitively put over anybody. And since he's obviously been back in AEW, he's been going through a lot of the mid-card of the roster. But this is the first young up-and-coming talent that CM Punk has put over, and I think this is exactly what CM Punk wanted to do when he came back to wrestling, was help the next generation, and he definitely did it here. I think MJF now, if he wasn't a made man before, he definitely is now. I love the point after the match, too, where you see MJF basically they do this a lot of times when they have big epic matches like this. The guys will talk to each other after the match when it looks like they're lying down and they're exhausted. They're really talking to each other. MJF was talking a lot. He was talking for a good minute to CM Punk after the match. I'm dying to hear what MJF said to CM Punk at the end of that match. It was really, really cool. I love seeing stuff like that when a guy knows that a veteran has put him over and has given him something that he could have given to anybody else, but he gave it to this guy to say, hey, you're the next guy up. I'm giving you this rocket pack on your back. Now go on and fly off with it. That's pretty awesome. Where do we go from here? MJF has been a master of plan. They've really booked him as being this master games planner. He's really got to, the whole thing with the Inner Circle last year was brilliantly crafted by him, making, and the thing with Punk here, making himself the guy at the top that you have to get to. It very much reminds me a little bit of the old Horsemen, where you had to go through the Horsemen to get the Flair. With MJF, they very much have made it a thing where you got to go through the Pinnacle to get to MJF. And MJF just works everything to his advantage, so when the match finally happens, he winds up winning big. He's basically a gambler cashing in his chips, and he's an expert gambler playing the probabilities. Really, really good. But I think from here on out now, you got to think that MJF is going to be in the main event at Revolution, taking on Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship, and I would not be surprised to see MJF win the AEW World title at Revolution coming up in early March. As far as CM Punk, that's a very curious thing, because MJF, remember in his promo, said, you're going to see CM Punk go away. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see CM Punk for another week or two in AEW, and they start kind of playing with the fact that maybe he's not coming back at all. I'm wondering if this is going to tie into that whole thing with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, trying to, take on some of the young stars. A lot of people think it might be kind of a pseudo NWO thing where the WWE guys are going to come in and take over AEW, and that Vince sent them, and there's no mistake that all these people got released. What do you think they got released for? They got released to come here and bury this company, basically, kind of thing. They could do something like that, but it does seem like Danielson is going after some of the younger, the Daniel Garcias and the Wheeler Utahs, which I think is actually going to wind up being Trent Beretta, and some of the other guys. I think that whole storyline is going to be pretty cool too. Imagine if they go through trying to recruit all these young guys from all the other factions, and then they get to Team Taz and they try to recruit Hook. That could be awesome. But anyway, getting too far ahead of myself there with that one, but I want to see that happen. Tony Khan, if you hear this, anybody AEW hears this, that would be pretty cool if they go through all the young guys and then they get the Hook and everybody's like, no, Hook, and Hook's like, screw you, and that starts a feud. That would be pretty cool. But I wonder if that's going to be the thing. Punk's not a joiner. He doesn't join any teams. He's never been a joiner, so I don't know if he would go in with joining Moxley and Danielson, and that's even if Moxley's going to join up with Danielson. I don't know what they're going to do with that quite yet, but there's some intriguing things happening right now with AEW. I don't quite know where they're going with this stuff, and I like that because it has been a little predictable over the last month. But it's still been decent, it's still been good, but now they got me wondering. I want to see each week what's going to happen next with this. Now I want to see what MJF is going to do next and what is CM Punk going to do next, because we really don't know, except for the most likely thing that MJF is going to challenge Hangman Page for the AEW Championship at Revolution. Of course, that's granted that Hangman Page beats Lance Archer, which I think he will, at the Texas Death Match next week on Dynamite. But I want to know what you guys thought about MJF and CM Punk. Was it everything you expected? Did you hate it? Did you love it? What do you think is going to happen now? Where do you think these guys are going to go? Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until next time, I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.